Alright, so welcome everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be talking about how my season has been in the Global Mazda MX-5 Cup in iRacing. So I wanted to get back into sim racing. I have been away for a few years. I started back in 2021 in iRacing. I quit for a few years because I had other things I wanted to do. But I wanted to make a comeback, so I returned and I wanted to document my journey towards becoming a pro. So I started again in the Rookie Cup with the intention of progressing through the series list, through all the different classes of racing. So yeah, let's get into it. So for starters, I don't really have a fancy setup. I just use a Logitech G923 wheel and pedals. I tweak the force feedback and pedals settings to my liking, but more on that later. So for the first race, at some point I wanted to set some sort of baseline to see where my skill level was compared to the really fast guys out there. So I practiced for like an hour or something in total and got into the race. I noticed during the practice session before the racing session, I was about 1 second off of the fastest guys in practice, which I thought was pretty decent. Though I did a few races in the Mazda a previous season as sort of a little bit of a warming up, so I was already a little bit used to the car. With luck on my side, I actually managed to win the race. It was given to me by accident by the leader, who wanted to give it to the guy who he was battling with. So right before the finishing line, I managed to pass them and got the win. So after the first race, I set a few goals for myself this season. But I didn't want to set the bar too high for myself in order to keep my motivation up. So my goal was to keep my lap times within 2 seconds of the super fast guys. Also, I wanted to reach 2K in iRating, although the main goal for this season was to improve my driving skills and consistency, rather than overall results. By the second race, I realized I really needed more practice, because I spun. The Mazdas are really tricky on cold tires, and I feel like the car's characteristics are exaggerated on cold tires. The back end really likes to step out when you're off throttle. So I decided to practice more before the next race, like a lot. I focused on learning how to trail brake and probably learn and practice the track. Before entering the race, I changed my brake settings to a force factor of 4.0. It's quite extreme, but it allows me to brake accurately when I need low braking force, when trail braking for example. Trail braking is essentially trailing off the brakes during turn-in, which keeps the weight on the front tires so you maximize cornering grip. You will get better rotation that way, so you could carry more speed through corners. I scheduled 3 practice sessions before the new race week, each for about 1 hour. In the first practice session, I learned the track using a track guide, often the ones made by Irilla, which are great, so shout out to him. In the second practice session, I work out the kinks and see where I can find some extra speed. In the third practice session, I work on long runs and consistency. So the next race at Okayama, I came prepared. And I crashed. But, and there's a big but, just the way I like it, I was running in front and I was fighting for the top step, which is a major improvement compared to the first 2 races. The crash is to blame on the other driver, but I learned a valuable lesson. It made me more aware of potential danger. It was the final lap, so people tend to take more risk when the win is within grasp. So I kept my momentum up for the next few races. I came in 3rd at Snetterton and got 2nd place at Oschersleben. There was a guy driving very dangerously, so I let him pass, and in the end he took out 2nd place for me, so that's how I got 2nd place. So it's very important to try and identify dangerous drivers. It was relatively easy to identify the guy as a dangerous driver because he was bumping into me and into other drivers as well. He made late lunges and so on. Laguna Seca was a bit of an odd one, where I came in 6th. Not a terrible result, but I got overtaken quite a few times. I just didn't have the pace during the race. I was able to drive really fast laps in practice, but not so much during the race. But I think that's due because I was pretty tired. Though I was able to get another 2nd place at VIR North 1 week later. I didn't make a video on Alton Park because I was on holiday, but I did a few races during the weekend. Unfortunately, I had 2 terrible crashes in a row, but after that I managed to get a decent finish and also a win. Lime Rock Park was also not that great of a result, but it was mainly because I ruined qualifying. Like the previous few races, I was very cautious on lap 1, so I lost a few places, but I gained them back a few laps later, so in the end I finished P6. I had a lot of free time that weekend, so I made the best out of it. Since Lime Rock Park is a track I am quick at normally, I decided to try and reach my goal of 2K iRating, which I managed to achieve, so that felt great. The following week I got the win at Tsukuba. The race was quite uneventful because I could hold on to the lead relatively easy. However, at Rudskogen the week after Tsukuba, I was leading for a while, but there were some guys who were simply too fast for me to hold off, so I came in third, which is still a great result. The final race at Winton, I had my best moment of the season, and at the same time also one of my lowest. For the first time I made it into top split, which was an amazing achievement for me, but I also spun, so that sucked. And also because I had a potential top 5 finish. I decided I wanted to end the season on a high note, so I did one more race, which was in second split. I qualified on pole, and in the end I managed to stay in front and got the win. So there was no better way to end the season. Although I must admit it kinda felt bittersweet because I messed up the race in top split, and I would have loved to have gotten a top 5 finish in top split, since it was the first time I ever made it to top split. So that's how my season went in the iRacing Mazda MX-5 Cup. So as I've said at the beginning of the video, I wanted to reach 2k iRating. I started out at 1.4. I gained iRating relatively slowly because I was only doing about 1 or 2 races a week, and I had a few bad ones. But at Lime Rock Park I had a lot of time during the weekend, so I had a few wins and a few podium finishes, so I got up to 2k. I feel like I also accomplished my other goals I've set for myself for this season, because I was consistently finishing within the top 10 or in the top 5 of the practice session before the race. And usually there are some really fast guys in there, and it's all because I improved my driving technique, and I took the time to practice a lot so I could improve my consistency. So I feel like I have achieved all my goals I set for this season. So in conclusion, practice a lot before racing. It helps to achieve more consistent good results. Also focus on technique. Technique is something you should not overlook, because if you have good technique you're automatically faster than a lot of other guys, so you'll be able to get more great results consistently. Also, try to identify dangerous drivers, because sometimes you could just end up in a bad situation when there's somebody who drives very dangerously and he spins out on his own and he takes you out while he's crashing. So you're gonna save yourself from a terrible result, and also you gain a position in because they'll take out themselves eventually. Also, not unimportant is to be energized before racing. I noticed when I was pretty tired and still went racing, I would tend to make a lot of silly mistakes, causing me to spin or lose a lot of time and get overtaken. So make sure you rest well, eat well. Most important thing is have fun, because there's no point in sim racing if you're not having fun. Definitely recommend racing a full season in the MX-5 when you're starting out in iRacing, before moving on to another series. It really helps developing your skills as a driver, knowing how to handle cold tires, driving in different types of tracks, and also helps develop advanced driving techniques early on in your iRacing career if you really get into it. If you're starting in iRacing halfway through the season, I'd say it's not a bad thing just to run half a season in rookies, because if you're able to do a lot of racing you make up for lost time. Saying that, it's also very important to have plenty of energy before you go racing. Being tired causes you to lose focus and to make silly mistakes, so make sure you're fresh and energized if you want to have good racing results. But most importantly, have fun, because that's why we do what we do. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, it really helps me out. And I'll see you guys on track, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!